Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar introducing Magnolia Now, Magnolia's new cloud-based enterprise CMS. My name's Ben Price, Marketing Manager here at Magnolia, and I'm just going to give you a quick overview of what we'll be covering in this webinar, together with a few housekeeping items. All attendees are muted, but that doesn't mean you cannot ask questions. Please feel free to submit your questions throughout the webinar using the GoToWebinar control panel, and we'll do our best to answer the questions at the end of this session in the Q&A. A day or two after the webinar, we'll be posting a video recording of the presentation on our website and emailing everybody with links to the presentation material and the video recording. So yes, you will receive a recording after the webinar. After the webinar, please feel free also to contact any of the presenters directly using the contact information we'll provide in the follow-up. Today's webinar will last approximately 45 minutes, and in today's presentation, I'm happy to welcome Boris Kraft, co-founder and Chief Visionary Officer at Magnolia, and Nicolas Barbet, software engineer. Boris will talk about the developments in the market that have led to the need for Magnolia Now, and Nicolas will then give you a demonstration of the product itself. So on that note, I'm now going to hand over presentation to Boris. And yeah, welcome Boris as first speaker.
All right, welcome everybody. I hope you can hear me. I have very little feedback here, but I'm sure Ben will be coming over here any minute if you can't hear me within the next 5 minutes. So I'm glad to be here today and to talk about Magnolia Now and to have you all on board. Hearty welcome to everybody. Context here, we now live in a post-analog world. I'm trying to describe what that means and where this is getting us. So post-analog is hopefully fairly obvious if you think about it. It's not quite a digital world because most of what we do is still very much analog, but analog alone really doesn't cut it anymore. So in this post-analog world, things that really characterize our time today is the focus on these things. And really what is quite interesting and what many people probably don't know is that this acceleration of displacement or replacement of companies. So a couple of decades ago, for the average time that a Fortune 500 company would last would be about 75 years. So in the last 15 years, 52% of Fortune 500 companies have gone. That means the average lifespan for even those largest of companies that we have is down to 15 years now. So there is clearly accelerating change. And, you know, we all know a lot of these examples, of course. So I'm contrasting here Kodak with Instagram or Blockbuster with Netflix. And all of these have been amazing companies at some point, even market leaders like Nokia. And you see the current crop of market leaders here with Amazon and Apple. And really how they have changed, you know, how business is done and how we're living in this post-analog world. So the big question is, you know, what do all of these companies have in common? What, you know, they obviously have lots of things in common, like people working for them, or, you know, typically they also have offices. But what is it that really defines why they have been successful in the last decade where others have lost out. And it's clear to see if you look at companies like the ones that I've just shown, Netflix, Amazon, Apple, Instagram. These are very digital companies by now. They have a lot of digital value creation, and they react quickly to changes, and they're very customer focused. So I think the main drive that they have is the ability to innovate and do so quickly, and of course creating a lot of value through the digitalization. Sometimes with companies like Instagram, this is a purely digital company in the sense that they don't really offer any physical goods, at least not to my knowledge, beyond maybe some merchandise or so, yet at least. Or Netflix, same thing there, that has replaced Blockbuster and streams video through the web. You know that. I don't need, these companies don't really need an introduction. However, the interesting thing is that all of these companies, or most of these companies at least, maybe with the exception for Instagram, who was just bought off the market so quickly that there probably wasn't a lot of iteration. But all of these companies, they started out somewhere and then quickly iterated. So it's a lot about agility and listening to your customers and empowering your staff to actually come out with innovations and see how they work. And this is really what defines the post-analog age. So all of these criteria here, so innovation, digitalization, and the agility that it needs, they are there to provide the best possible customer experience. This is where all of this is heading. And the question then becomes, how is it possible to get there? And from my perspective here, the best thing we can do is really simplify. There is clearly a race to simplify things. So if you don't simplify stuff, your competitor does, right? And this is what we are trying in our product, to make things more simpler for you. So if you want to innovate rapidly, things that would help there is make things easier for everybody. And I also thought about failure, right? Innovation always also means you have to try out a lot of stuff. So we want to reduce risk and make sure that you fail as rarely as possible with your innovations. And at the same time, we also want to make sure that it's cheap if you fail, so that it actually doesn't hurt you. So it removes any obstacles for you to actually try out new stuff. And we want to increase flexibility, and of course, digitalization is a big part of being able to innovate faster out there in the market. So it turns out that companies who actually adapt to the digital world or the post-analog world are 26% more profitable than their industry peers. This is according to MIT Sloan Research. So I don't know how reliable that number is, but I'm pretty sure there are lots of numbers out there depending on exactly what you're looking at. And just to be clear, that's a big number, right? 26% more profitable means there is a lot what you can do with the money, and you can easily out-innovate your competition. And that is exactly what is happening in this market that is also characterized by, the winner takes it all and network effects and the superstar economy, just to throw in a couple of the current buzzwords out there, which basically means, the big guys get almost everything because of the digitalization. If you make it big, everybody can know about you and anybody can participate in what you do. And this points me to another interesting fact. Today, pretty much anything that is happening out there on the planet is just one social share away from any of your customers. So this is why the situation has become so competitive. No matter what you offer, the guys that you deal with, your customers, they will know what is happening and they will quickly switch to somebody else if it's more interesting to them, or if it's easier for them. And we talk again about customer experience here. And case in point is that, I'm online quite a bit as the chief visionary of Magnolia, and I also try out a lot of things that are out there. And it's actually quite interesting how different customer experience can be between all the different vendors out there. So there's still, a lot of things are in flux. There's still a lot that can be done, but obviously the guys that win in the market right now, they make things really easy. This includes companies like Uber that I'm actually using quite a lot, or Amazon. No affiliation, obviously, just saying this because they have made life for me so easy that they actually generate a lot of business, right? Again, nothing new here. So just a reminder, anything that happens, every innovation, every better customer experience, every bad customer experience that your customers have is just one social share away from their mindset. They have the phone in front of them. They're always online. This is the crazy stuff that's happening. And that is why they define how business is done these days. They define what they want, and if you don't provide it, they'll go somewhere else. So really, you want to be in the situation that you can provide these innovations. You want to be in the situation that you can quickly innovate and that you can actually win these customers and keep these customers. So in an ideal world, you wouldn't want to wait for many months for your IT resources to be available. And just imagine it would be really easy and you could quickly onboard new staff if you needed to do these innovations, talking about any digital communication here, of course. Imagine you could empower front-end developers. In many of our competitors' products, it's still the case that there is a big rift or a big divide between front-end and back-end, where maybe you have a graphic designer, the classical way of doing things, then somebody does HTML, CSS, and so on. You do that, and then it goes all back to the back-end developers who need to implement templates. And then the whole thing starts where you need to test it, and then it's not like what you wanted originally, and it takes forever. So what if instead those front-end developers that do the original work are actually all that you need? And what if you could use the latest JavaScript frameworks? All of you know that Java is still the biggest programming language, the most used programming language in the world, and that is really, really important, and that is what Magnolia is based on, and this is why our customers love us, because it's really solid enterprise quality, mature stuff. This is, the heavy lifting. But for most of the things that you need to do today, it's not so much about the heavy lifting. It's about being agile on the front end, and this is where the JavaScript community comes in, and all those amazing frameworks and all the innovation that is happening in that space. And really, this is what Gartner refers to as bimodal IT. So you have, on one end, the mature enterprise stuff, and then on the other end, you need to be agile, you need to be fast, you need to be innovative. And how do you get this into your organization? How do you get this established, and how can you roll this out? It's actually not so easy for many, but this is exactly what you would wish for, so that you can make sure that your backend is mature and stable, but you can still go crazy on the front end without risk. And exactly, if you could just try out new stuff really fast and without risk, and minimize the time from any idea to delivery. This, I think, would be great, and I hope you agree. So this was what we had in mind when we thought about Magnolia Now and light development, to provide you with the freedom to innovate. How do we do this? First, we simplify operations. It used to be in the old world that you needed to talk to IT and they would deploy Magnolia or any other competitor system a couple of months later. This is enterprise software. It's serious stuff. Unfortunately, you know, it's complex to do these things, and what is simple on the front might still mean you need a lot of heavy lifting in the back, and enterprise environments need that. In the old world, your guys needed to do this, and it would take time. If they had no idea of the product, they would need a lot of time to get into it. In the new world, of course, you press a button and we deploy Magnolia automatically. And of course, in a best practice setup. No risk there. How else do we simplify operations? Bug fixes, no time now. This is the old world, right? Something's not working. Well, we're busy rolling out the latest SAP system or whatever. You know, you had to wait. Of course, now you don't want to wait, and there are security implications to that. With Magnolia Now, you can always be on the latest security update and make sure that your system is safe and secure. And also, of course, new functionality, similar thing. We release new Magnolia versions, not bug fix versions, but really feature versions every, let's say, once or twice a year. But still, of course, this is used to be a major thing for customers to upgrade to the newest version, depending on how, you know, how good your staff is, how well trained they are, and how much automated they already have their setup, which is, of course, something you can do, but that comes at a lot of cost. With Magnolia Now, we're going into an area where you basically say, I want to test the latest version, and then you can test it against your live data, and if you're happy, you just click again, and you switched to whatever version we have just released. And luckily, you can also roll back. Then we simplify onboarding. So in the old world, there was a steep learning curve. Enterprise technology is always complex, lots of stuff to learn to make sure that the system runs, lots of stuff to learn how to customize that. We're talking Java environment here, so you had expensive Java developers that would, for instance, work on templates. That's not necessarily what they have been trained to do. This is not necessarily what they want to do, but this is the way it used to be. You had to work on the back end for these things, no longer with light development. And of course, in the old world, you needed to understand the product really well to work with it. In the new world, which we could refer to as more API driven, maybe, we're using standard front-end frameworks, or you are using standard front-end frameworks. Whatever you want to use out there in the JavaScript world just works with light development. So it makes it really simple to get people on board, because they can just use the knowledge that they already have. Specifically front-end developers, which now can also work on templates, and they don't need to know anything about Magnolia itself, or almost nothing about Magnolia. It's pretty much black box for them. But of course, they need to understand JavaScript, which they already do. Otherwise, you wouldn't have hired them, right? So it's really simple for these guys, and we have videos showcasing that, how you can really easily get people on board and develop websites. And also, Nicholas will show something right after the next two slides. So we also simplify the development in general. So some of this is a bit repetitive. In the old world, customizations were done on the back end. Now we're using sexy JavaScript front-end frameworks, much more fun. In the old world, you'd use, Java would use a lot of compilation, because that's just the way things are built. Now we can actually use light development with Magnolia Now and have no compilation or build time at all. So in the old world, maybe your system required a restart after changes and generally long round trips. Magnolia Now, light development is file-based and it's instant. So the moment you press refresh on your browser, you have the new functionality. Old world, you needed Java devs. Now you can have front-end developers, and you can actually work, depending on your needs, you can work exclusively with front-end developers. You can do Magnolia custom websites with no Java developer in your team. And I think that's a biggie. It's not because we don't like Java developers. We actually love Java developers. It's just a realization that Java developers have a really important place on the back end in the custom business logic and integrations and so on. But if you want to accelerate your development, you need to work with everybody that you have. And so maybe you have Java devs on the back end for your integration story, or maybe you don't, and it's enough to just work with your front-end devs, and that makes stuff really, really fast. And they can also, of course, work in parallel with your content editors, so you can get started in no time. Also, regarding the simplification of development, it used to be that it took days to install your development environment. So your devs would lose a lot of time to even get started, and also they need to maintain that. Whereas with light development, you go into a zero configuration environment, so you can just get started. You don't even need to install Magnolia on your laptop or desktop, which I think is actually really, really cool. And finally, of course, we simplify the rollout. And it used to be, and you know, we've all been there, that you plan a new website launch and it takes, let's say, a year of development. That has been coming down over the last 10 years, but I'd still say it's rarely less than 6 months for something to go live, except that in Asia, people typically don't want to spend more than 3 months to go live. So, but these guys work around the clock. So that's how they do it. In our new world, you can actually launch in weeks, depending on your needs, of course, and possibly iterate over it. The environment that we provide allows you to change anything at any point in time and do so totally risk-free. So you can start with, you know, smaller sites even, and then just grow also in functionality, not only content-wise. So you can launch really, really quickly. Also, it used to be that you had to do a lot of manual testing. Of course, many of you will have automated testing environments like Jenkins or so, but you would also have to maintain those. With Magnolia Now, we're now talking about continuous integration setups, and Nicholas will show you exactly what that looks like in Magnolia, and it's actually amazing. It used to be that people would bundle features, so you'd have feature requests, and I think that's pretty much the status quo today. You have feature requests, so there's marketing or business and says, we need this, we need that, we need a new carousel or a new teaser, things that aren't content but functionality. And you would bundle those things into releases, even though some of it would be fairly easy to do and to deploy if you just had the right environment. And with Magnolia Now, that's no longer necessary. You basically can release features as often as you like, several times a day if you want, because everything is integrated, as again Nicholas will show you in a minute. And finally, it used to be that you test against test data, and we've all seen that. You know, you test against test data because you can't test against live or production data. And what would happen sometimes is that you then fail once you go live, and you have to find the bug. You have to understand why the functionality that you develop now doesn't really work, and maybe you need to roll back, and maybe you didn't really think about that you need to roll back, and then you have, you know, late night shifts and a lot of post-mortems and other stuff that really we all like to avoid. So with Magnolia Now, you test against live data. That is pretty amazing as well in itself. You have a test environment and test against live data. And this is really how we want to make sure that through innovation and digitalization and agility, you can provide the best customer experience. We really make it simpler for you to operate Magnolia or any enterprise content management system, but we are talking about Magnolia Now here. We simplify onboarding for you, which is really important depending on the market that you're in, but it's always good if it's easier to hire lots of cool people into your team and be fast. We have significantly simplified development with Magnolia Now, and specifically light development. which, by the way, is also available for Magnolia CORE, so it's also cool. But just the combination with Magnolia Now makes things just a lot sexier. And finally, we simplify rollout and operations I already mentioned. So I think without further ado, you can see that I'm excited about what we have to offer. It's excited what we're working on. I will hand over to Nicholas, and he will show you where we stand. Thanks a lot.
Okay, thank you, Boris. Yes, let's now take that and have a look at Magnolia Now itself.
Thanks, Ben. Before stepping into the demonstration itself, I will give you a very quick introduction on how developers work with Magnolia Now. So let's say that if you have multiple development teams, which are made of mainly front-end developers, as we have seen, if they are using Git to distribute, integrate their changes into a central code repository, Magnolia Now can actually leverage that repository to distribute those changes to different environments. So, which are, and we will see that into details in the integration environment, the staging, and the production environment. And optionally, if you want to automate a bit more this process, you can also decide to use your continuous integration server, such as Jenkins, to automate all of that using our public REST API. So this is the cockpit. This is the entry point for the end users. So mainly we target mainly developers, but also some business people can also have access to that and perform some very basic actions. And as you can easily see in this capture, we have here 3 environments. We have the live, UAT, and integration. And those 3 environments are actually chained together from the bottom to the top. So let's see into more details about each of them. So the integration environment, it can be used to track regressions. So you can connect your continuous integration server through our REST API to run automated tests. And if your automated tests need a running website, so for instance, if you need a running website to validate that the pages are rendered in the same way, whatever the devices or browser is used, this is actually a very good use case. Or if you want to make sure that some business logic still works, like this component is displayed for some based on some rules, and this other component should not be displayed, you need a running website. And the integration environment is actually the best place for that. And the cool thing about that is that this environment is using the same setup than the production environment. So you will never run into problems when deploying to the production environment about something that is wrongly happening because of differences between different environments. The second environment is called the user acceptance test, UAT. It can be used to perform manual tests done by the business in general to validate that a given feature has been correctly implemented. You can also decide to use real-world data, cloning the data coming from the production environment to the user, to the UAT environment. And if the business decides that it's a good release, we want to promote that code to production, this can be done through a very single click. Or if you need to do some more iteration to fix some last bugs, or add some more improvements, you can decide to and iterate over it again. The UAT environment can also be used to try the latest release of Magnolia CORE using the production data, a copy of the production data. So it can be very useful if you want to see how your data behave with the latest Magnolia CORE. And the last environment is the production environment. And the production environment obviously is where your content is delivered, and it's a high availability setup with full redundancy of all components which are facing the public. And we will implement some new feature in the future, like as the capability to serve content from different locations. So that can be very useful if you need to reduce the latency between the servers, and especially for the case of mobile phone. And the second one is auto scaling to make sure that you are using the right amount of resources depending on your current traffic. So that's very useful if you need to absorb some unexpected peak of traffic. Magnolia Now is using mainly what Boris has already introduced, light development. So light development, in a nutshell, it's a way to easily leverage front-end teams and their tools to quickly innovate. And concretely, it means that we have introduced the concept of light modules. A light module is a set of files, text files, and directories that contains what we call definition. And a definition is a way to define and customize Magnolia. So you can define how looks like a dialog, you can define applications, you can add fields to a dialog, remove fields, etc. So this is a way to customize the backend. It also contains your front-end resources, JavaScript, HTML, CSS, and also, obviously, the templates, which are FreeMaker templates here. So the good thing about that, it's actually text files. So text files are actually a very good fit when it comes to put that into Git. And it actually eases a lot the collaboration between developers because there is no package to do like it's the case with Java or jar files or other technology. Here is just about Git. And there is also another very cool thing that we have implemented into Magnolia, is that Magnolia is able to watch a folder that contains light modules and automatically reload all the changes instantaneously without restarting anything. And this feature, we leverage actually this feature a lot in Magnolia Now to make changes popping up instantaneously into the Magnolia instances. So now it's the moment to have the demonstration itself. So the demonstration has been recorded, to make it clear, and much smooth for that presentation, for this webinar. And we have built a very simple use case. It's a single web page, and the idea is to just perform some very basic improvements on that web page. So let's have a look at that page. For that, we will go through the Cockpit, and through the Cockpit, we will have access to the public instances. So let's log in, and you can see the 3 environments, including the first one, that is the production environment. And we can open the public website. So this is actually the public website and the main home page. And here we would like to do some tiny improvements, like we would like to add a description and there's a title and a call to action button. So here's the description of some more details about those new requirements. So adding a description and there's a title means that we also need to change a bit the dialogue that actually capture the definition, the details about that page. So we basically need to modify 2 different files. We need to modify the definition of the dialogue to add this new field, the description field, and we need to modify the FTL template to actually display that field and also display this call to action button. So this is what we will see in this video. So first, let's have a look at the dialog definition. So we open the file, and here, so you can see it's a YAML file, it's easy to edit, and we will simply uncomment in the middle of the file here description field, and as you can see, it's a text field, and we have 3 different rows. Now we'll modify the template, the framework template. So we open it, and we do the same. We uncomment the part that displays the description, and we uncomment the part that displays the button. We save everything. We commit the changes to Git, and we push them to the remote repository. So at this stage, you have the choice to, you can, if you want, decide to integrate your continuous integration server to Magnolia Now using the REST API. And this is, if you do that, this is what we will see here. You will have the possibility to automate a few steps, a few additional steps. So let's imagine that we have Jenkins, which will trigger some user interface tests using Selenium. So let's start the job. Doesn't start. It is. So let's start the job. It will run some automated UI test using Selenium, and once the job is done and passed, so we have to wait a bit. So here it is, it passed. It will automatically contact the Cockpit through the REST API to create a new release, a new version, version 6 here. And this new version will actually contains the corresponding commit ID. So this is this way that we know in the Cockpit, in Magnolia Now, that we need to pick up that change and put it and distribute it to all the servers. So just keep in mind version 6, because we will use that actually in the next steps. So now what you have, basically, you have a set of releases, and if the tests are passed, you have a set of releases that are ready to be deployed. And it's up to your business user to decide. It's up to your business user to decide which version needs to go into production. And you also want to decide to perform some manual user acceptance test to detect any bugs that cannot be detected by the automated tests, or also simply just to make sure, validate that business-wise it works. So for this, it's very easy. You go in the Cockpit and you just install an update. Oops, sorry. I do it again. So you go in the Cockpit and you install the site, what we call a site release, and you select the version 6, the one on the top. You select the UAT environment, and what will happen here, typically, Magnolia Now will pull all the changes, the corresponding commit from Git, and deploy it automatically to all the public instances. So here it is. Optionally, you also have the choice, you have the possibility, if you need, to clone the production data to the UAT. If you really need production or real data coming from the production environment. We don't see that here, but you will also have the capability to select a specific backup as well. So if at some point you decide that in production these data are meaningful for me to do my test, I will just do a backup, specific snapshot, and then I will be able to use that after in the UAT. So now the UAT environment is ready. You can send the link to the business, or the business can connect to the Cockpit and start the author instance to perform and do some check. So now this is the last step. So basically, you are at this stage quite confident. The release has been validated from the technical perspective using automated tests. From a business perspective, you are also quite confident because you run some user acceptance tests as well. So now actually deploying this into production should just be super easy. And what you have to do is simply going through the same steps. In just a few clicks, you can just install the same release, so the version 6 on the top, directly to the live environment. And this update is done without any downtime. We do not stop the traffic. The public instances are still live. We do not shut down them. And it's, as you can see, also quite fast. Which also means that if you need, for whatever reason, to roll back to a previous version, you will go through the same steps, and it's super easy. And that's it. So now let's open the author instance to create some content. Let's open the page in the Page app. As you can see, we already have the call to action button that is displayed. And if we open the dialog, we have this new field, the description field. So we put some data inside, some content, we save the changes. And then we preview the page just to make sure that it works as expected. And it is. So let's publish a page to the public instances. We can put a small publication message if needed. And let's publish it. So that's it. It's published. So now let's go back to the cockpit and just open the website. And here it is. So we have our description and our call to action button. So what we have seen so far is a very, very simple workflow, but what is actually quite awesome about it is how simple and easy it is to go from an idea and bring that idea to life in production. It just takes a few steps, and it's also done in a way that it's safe, completely safe, because we do not sacrifice the quality. You still go through some quality gates to make sure that the deliverable is actually a good one. And obviously, Magnolia Now provides even more. It also adds a lot of additional features that we were not able to show today. So that's it. So I will hand over to Ben.
Okay. Thanks, Boris. Thanks, Nicolas, for the demonstration. There are a lot of questions coming in, which is fantastic. There is a lot of interest. You can still send through your questions. You can continue to do so. And we're about to start answering some of them now. Before we get started with the questions, perhaps we can just run a quick poll among you. Based on what you've just seen and based on your current requirements, how you actually see Magnolia fitting in with your plans. Do you have thoughts about this right now? This would be super helpful for us to get a bit of feedback on that. Just while you're completing that poll, I can perhaps update you regarding the status of Magnolia Now. It's a common question. Basically, Magnolia Now is currently in a closed beta status. So what that actually means is that we are looking to work very closely with any of you who are interested in using this product. We want to understand your needs and help together to develop the solution and develop Magnolia Now based on your actual requirements. So basically, we would be looking for you to contact us to discuss the needs that you have and probably be potentially be among the first to test Magnolia Now and help us bring this product forwards. Okay, so I will close this poll now. Thank you very much for answering that. That helps us a lot. And first questions, here we go. Okay, first question is very easy. I can probably take this one. It's a question about where the documentation is and whether it's updated. You can get to it quickly by going to the existing documentation website, documentation.magnolia.com. shop.magnolia-cms.com. And below the main content, you will see some teasers, and one of them is to Magnolia Now. I'm sure if you also Google Magnolia Now documentation, you will find that, and that is being regularly updated. Question here. Okay, yeah, so what is the difference between Magnolia Now and Magnolia CORE, as we are now calling it? Boris and Nicola.
Yeah, I can answer. So the difference is very simple.
Sorry, I was muted, but go ahead.
No, you can.
Okay, nobody wants to answer this, right? No, this is it's a great question. Of course, a question that we've been thinking about a lot in product management over the last couple of years when we were envisioning something like Magnolia Now, and it's quite fascinating, but it depends on how you look at it. So Magnolia CORE, of course, is our on-premise enterprise offering. It is the most flexible system on the market in general that has been attested to us by independent analysts, sorry. And yeah, it's funny. It's late in the day, right? And this is, we're targeting this at, let's say, a mature technical audience. There is no limits of what you can do with Magnolia CORE, and this is why a lot of, of the digital transforming companies are choosing Magnolia. We have won a lot of customers in retail over the last 24 months, for instance, that are finally picking up on the digital transformation. And of course, the earlier trends in finance is very clear. This has been traditionally our strongest market because these people were very early in introducing online services and transactional content and content-driven transactions in general. So this is the interesting part about Magnolia CORE. Now, as you have seen from Nicola, setting up Magnolia CORE in a productive environment or production environment is quite a bit of work. In fact, you will need a lot of different environments, like the integration environment, the user acceptance test environment, and also the live environment. And even each of these environments then again has several instances of Magnolia CORE that all talk to each other. And this is the first start, the first part of what Magnolia Now actually offers to you is that this setup has already been done, and it has been done in a way that guarantees that it's it adheres to best practice. So there, it's not, your team can't make any errors there because we are the guys who make errors, and hopefully we don't make any errors on setting it up. But beyond that, this environment allows you with automated backups and rollbacks. And what we've been talking about a lot, taking out the risk of innovation. So light development is in there that allows you to use front-end frameworks, and this whole setup then allows you to basically connect from any of your laptops, to type in a couple of changes like you've just seen it into a file, and push that through repositories like NPM directly into your integration and user acceptance test environment, and then also allow business users in the end to basically press the button and say, okay, go live with that. And maybe one related note on that, the interface that you've seen so far, this is, or if you want our technical interface, there'll be a bit more user-friendly interface for the end users, for the marketing and business teams, so that it becomes crystal clear what you should do to go live with your changes. Nicola, would you say that kind of sums it up, or you want to add anything?
No, that's pretty clear, and yeah.
Okay. Okay, Ben.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, let's try and speed through these. Can you guarantee zero downtime?
Yes, it's a question for me, I guess. So yeah, definitely. We for the production environment, and as I said, for the public-facing components, so basically the public instances that serve and deliver the content, we guarantee zero downtime. So for the operations like installing a site release, like what we have seen here, or triggering a backup of the data. So in the case of the backup of the data, since we have two public instances, we just roll the backup one by one on the public instances. So we will never shut down all public instances at the same time.
Okay, great. Next question. Okay, so can I authenticate users with my own authentication service, for example, LDAP?
So basically, we provide, and we will continue to provide more and more way to authenticate through the Cockpit. So today, through the Cockpit, you can authenticate using a basic authentication mechanism. And the Magnolia instances, we are using also the built-in authentication mechanism. But soon we will add additional way to connect to external directories, or to also support OAuth or other authentication protocols. So this is a continuous, we will continuously add more and support more way, because we know that all customers have different needs. They want to use the same password across all their systems, or so we need to be flexible and be able to support all the kind of, most of all the kind of pattern we can encounter.
Okay, thank you. Next question, can I clone content from production to UAT?
Yeah, right. This is actually what we have seen here. So in the, let's say the second step, when we set up the UAT environment, we actually moved, copy some data from the production environment to the UAT. You can also do the same from production to integration environment if you need. It makes a little bit less sense, because integration environment is mainly dedicated for automated tests. So your automated test should actually load the data themselves. But if you really need to use that integration environment for other purposes, you can still do it.
Okay, great. Good to know. Thank you. There are, among the questions, there are also many comments coming through, especially confirming the need to empower front-end developers within the organization. This is something which a lot of you are appreciating and recognizing, as Boris made that point, which is great to see. There are also various questions coming through about custom requirements and pricing as well. And I would say, perhaps one of you can comment, but I would say this is part of the need to speak with us and work on individual needs and requirements.
Yeah, I think that would be brilliant. I think it's also fair to, let people move on. We've already used almost an hour here. So from my perspective, I think I say thank you for everybody joining this webinar, and I hope to be talking to you soon.
Okay. Yeah, we have a lot of questions which we will not be able to get through right now, as Boris has just said. So I think the best thing is that we will follow up with you in that case individually, and make Q&A probably available for everyone who is registered. So there are a lot of questions here which are relevant for many. So I think we will make the Q&As available and get back to you at least individually, as we have just about run out of time. So sorry if we didn't get to your question. We will get back to you very shortly. Thanks again, Boris. Thank you, Nicola.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Anna.
Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for everyone for attending. And yeah, we look forward to hopefully working with you very soon on Magnolia Now. So have a good rest of the day.